Welcome to the best sports betting show on the planet. This is WagerTalk Today, and I am your host, Andy Lang. We got a loaded Thursday on deck. MLB, WNBA, UFC, and more. The board is deep. We're ready to break down the best angles and the sharpest plays. Let's get locked in. We did not have a winner in the Dodgers-Rockies try and guess the winner and correct score contest last night. It's okay. We're going to have another game for you guys. We're going to give away some swag. I promise you. Yeah, just a bummer. 8-1. The Rockies did not come through. We had some people pick the Dodgers, but we're going to pick a game, put in the comment section after the show who's going to win and what's the correct score. And darn it, we're going to give away some swag today. So let's get started. We got to bring in Gianni. While you guys are watching, please hit that like button. Please, please, please. It really helps the algorithm. So, Gianni, hope you enjoyed your day off. You were very sorely missed. I tried to do the Steam Report, and it was truly terrible. Please don't leave us. I did my best, but it was certainly not as good as yours. There was a lot of uhs and ums, so we missed you, Gianni. How are you, sir?
Good, man. It was real busy because it's International Fight Week here in Las Vegas. And it's the 1 week I have like some responsibilities and obligations with the UFC. Like even tomorrow morning, I'll find out my call time later today. But yesterday's call time was like 6:45 in the morning. I had to be at the Apex. Tomorrow I'm going to have to be at the UFC Expo because there's that big exhibition for the whole day. So you got to go there and do a couple interviews, that kind of stuff about the 317 card. So it's just a real busy week because of it. And it all culminates on Saturday with that big 317 card. I'm really excited about that. I released 2 more premiums yesterday for subscribers. We're coming off a sweep on the NBA draft. I told you guys,
nice.
Every play is a 4% or higher because these is as strong of positions as possible. There's only one left. It's in the NHL draft. I'm going to give that to you right now. 4% best bet NHL draft. Joshua Ravensbergen over 22.5. We laid minus 132. It's good up to minus 150. I believe I wrote in the analysis 6 out of 10 times is the break even. I think even there it's at plus EV. As long as you get 150 or better, you're golden. That's Joshua Ravensbergen over 22.5. That's the draft position left in the NHL. Only one of those to go. Also, season win totals. 2 of them are out in the NFL. 4% play and 5% play. So it's a busy time, man. Like I said, it's been a busy week for me because of everything going on with the UFC. And we also have PFL coming up. I gave out a 4% in PFL. Subscribers, you guys should have already gotten that play as well. I love that position. I know it's a little chalky around minus 170, but I'd be comfortable laying 220, 230 in that spot, which is why it's a 4% play. So, yeah, other than that, it's a 1 WNBA play for today. Las Vegas, whenever it's dropped down to that minus 7.5 range, it's been picked up. So Las Vegas at 7.5 seems to be a good bet in WNBA. Otherwise, Andy, it's all Major League Baseball. Little early, but we got some sides and totals if you're ready.
I have a feeling you and I are on the exact same side on your 4% PFL play. You mentioned the odds, and I was like, I think I have a strong position on that play as well. So, yeah, PFL card, I'm loving the PFL card. I think it sets up very, very nice. I think it's pretty clear-cut. UFC gets a little muddier there. Gianni, I actually think there's going to be some upsets here on the UFC card. Have you looked at any of these dogs? I think there's some good ones out there.
Well, we saw it last week. I mean, the dogs did great. I think it was 6-6 as far as favorites and dogs go, which was coming because the favorites were way ahead. Going into that event, favorites were at like 67, 68%, and they're usually around that 65% range. In fact, over the last 10 years, favorites are about 65%, dogs are about 35%. It's about 1% no contests. And draws about 1.5% at most. So the favorites were nicely ahead, and you saw the dogs starting to catch up over the last 2 events. Now we're back to where we should be. Pretty much dogs are at 32.8% through 21 events. Favorites are at 66.4%. So they're right around their historical average over the last decade. Like I always tell bettors, here's how you have to look at a UFC card. There's about 12, 13 fights on that card. We know favorites win about 67%, 2 out of 3 times, 65, 66%, right around that rate. So you got to factor in, there's going to be 3 or 4 dogs in every card. So if you're going to be that better, that parlay in favorites, because I know a lot of MMA bettors like to parlay those favorites, don't put more than 5 or 6 fighters on that card. What usually is going to end up happening is you're going to have an 8-fighter, 9-fighter parlay. You're going to hit 7 of them, 8 of them, but one of those dogs is going to stick their neck out and ruin your entire bet. If you're betting for entertainment, looking to have fun with it, and throwing in those parlays in MMA, I urge you, stick to 6 or less. If you look at your ticket and it's all favorites, you don't want to have more than 6 favorites on that ticket, because now you're going into, hoping that it's one of those cards where, favorites just sweep the card. And it's happened, don't get me wrong. But again, more times than not, you want to average that it's going to go like that. 12 fights, 8 favorites, 4 dogs. You want to try to pick 5 or 6 of them if you're going to tie in a favorite ticket. Because I never understood why the bettors that tie in those parlays in MMA, why don't they look for the 2 or 3 dogs on the card and tie those up instead? Like, you don't have to go 8-0, 9-0. You have to hit 2 or 3 bets. And those plus money parlays pay so well. You put 2 or 3 plus 200s in a parlay, and you're getting back a really nice ticket. You don't have to hit 9, 10 bets. And I think that's the mistake a lot of recreational bettors make when they parlay MMA. They look to parlay what they think is the locks. These guys can't lose. Instead of looking at maybe tying 2 or 3 dogs, tie that ticket together and make a nice score that way. Because every card, you're going to get those 3 or 4 dogs that get the money. And like I said, last week it was 6 and 6.
Yeah. I was looking at some. We have one of my my favorite things is a part-time fighter. We have a guy in Hines who is his Instagram literally says engineer by day, fighter by night. This spells doom normally. And yet I actually think he might be a live dog. His opponent absolutely cannot stuff takedowns. He cannot wrestle. So I was interested in your take when you have these fighters. I love betting against these part-time fighters. Like, oh, I'm a photographer and in part-time UFC. It's like, give me a break. You're coming in and fighting a killer here.
But we saw that, not to bring it up, but we saw that with Peyton Talbot, where he got so much hype. But I remember from the Contender Series, I watched his interview, and he was talking about how he took up MMA as intramural sport in college. It was something to do. And then he kind of liked it. And there was a gym in the area. So he went to the gym to get in shape. And next thing you know, he's fighting on the Contender Series, knocks a guy out and gets a UFC contract. Like, he didn't have, it's not like he went through, like you see usually the stages of progression. They wrestle as young kids, then they get into jiu-jitsu, and then they get into more striking and kickboxing, and then they have the whole package, and they're mixed martial artists. This guy just started at like 20 years old. So I know sharp bettors that knew his story were looking for spots to fade him, and it just happened to come up against Barcelos, where he was like a minus 1,100 favorite, and we know now that line was just so out of whack. It made absolutely 0 sense at all. And, he got butchered. And there are fighters like that in mixed martial arts where they don't make the kind of money where it can be their only profession. And I am all for fading those guys. But you know how hard it is just to be a winning sports bettor. We know that 1 out of every 200 bettors are profitable. That's it. Well, there's even less fighters, professional fighters, that are going to make it to the UFC. So if you're going to make it to the UFC, you have to be as elite as it comes as a mixed martial artist. But then if you're at that level and you're not 100% dedicated to it, like your opponent is, that's the fighters I want to fade. I'm so for that. Like, I get it. They got to make their living and support their families. But it's not something you can't be like, where you could not be all in and think you're going to progress up those rankings. It's just not going to happen. So I love fading those fighters that aren't all in because they're just not making the money.
I saw an interview with him. He's like, yeah, I got my Union logo behind me. They sponsor me. And I was like, oh my gosh. This guy's fighting in the UFC. Amazing. So before we let you go, can you give us just a little MLB Steam report on anything? I know we got a lot of day games here.
Absolutely.
We got Steve Merril coming up to talk Braves and Mets. Kyle Anthony's going to join us to go over some specific plays in the main and co-main for UFC 317. We will play Sell Me, and then we'll talk with Nick Parsons about CFL. And the team today we're breaking down is the Carolina Panthers over under 6.5. Myself and Dan will do that at the end. What are you seeing in MLB? Anything of note?
Okay, and real quickly, John Wood just shared, and tomorrow our guy Block's going to take care of the Steam if I'm not here, so don't worry about that. He's got you guys covered. But Johnny Wood says that play is now 26.5 on the draft prop. It's up to you whether you still want to bet it, what your risk tolerance is. This is a perfect example of placing a good bet and not being able to control the results. I talk about it all the time. That's the job. That's the job. Last week, I gave out a 5% play on Jamal Hill, okay? I gave him out to my subscribers at even money, and said he's good for that kind of bet up to about minus 115, I think minus 120. Well, he went off at minus 140, minus 145. The job, that's the job. Like, I placed a great bet. It looked like a terrible bet when the fight took place. Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen. You can't control that part. But what you can control is placing good bets, and the market's going to let you know whether you did that by what the closing line is. So as much like negativity as I got on the Hill fight, as a professional sports bettor, I feel like I did the job. Like, I was a perfect bet. You need to bet 5% if you're getting down at even money and it closes minus 140. That's exactly what value means. That's exactly why I made such a big bet of 5%, because I did expect to have a much better ticket in my pocket than what it closes at. So if I have an even money bet in my pocket and it closes at minus 140, minus 150, my break even's 50%. The market's break even's close to 60%. Dude, that's a 10% implied win probability edge. Like, you can't get better than that. You can't place a better bet, but you're still going to lose some of those. Don't let that shatter your goal. Like, don't let that shake your foundation of, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Because that's absolutely what you're supposed to be doing. You can't control the outcome. You can't control how the fighter's going to feel that day. You can't control the ref. You can't control the judges. You can't control his corner, what instructions they're going to give you. You can't control none of that. But you can't control whether you're placing good bets, and the market's going to let you know that. So remember that, because a lot of these theme plays I'm giving out in Major League Baseball, the lines moved already. Your job is to determine whether there's still EV there to piggyback it, or now whether we've pushed it so far in one direction, now fading the sharp side is actually giving you more value. Like, that's where the specialty comes in, and you'll get better and better and better and better at reading these and using them the right way. So here's some of those Major League Baseball steam moves for you. 954, over 11.5, over 12 in Dodgers, Colorado. They're betting this over in the Dodgers every single night. They were fading them under and losing. And I think now they just jumped on that train going over. But eventually, again, you're seeing the market start to correct itself. We're looking at an opener of 11.5, now 12.5. That's a much different bet going over 12.5 compared to going over 11.5. They're two completely different bets. You got to be able to draw that distinction if you're going to try to use sports betting for profit and not just for entertainment. 956, San Francisco, minus 170. 958, New York Mets at even money. So even money or plus, like the Mets there. Under 8.5 and under 8, all the way up to minus 130, Toronto, Cleveland. At 7.5, much different bet. From going under 8.5 to going under 7.5, two completely different bets. Keep that in mind. 962, Cleveland, minus 115. Cleveland, minus 120. Cleveland again, minus 125. They love Cleveland today. 965, over 9.5, minus 130, Tampa, Kansas City. And finally, Houston, minus 130, Houston, minus 135, Houston, minus 140. So Cleveland and Houston, they hit multiple times. Over in the Dodgers, they hit multiple times. Under in Toronto, they hit multiple times. So a little early still, only about 9:30 a.m. out here in the Pacific. But again, with International Fight Week going on in Las Vegas, the drafts going on, Major League Baseball, UFC 317, PFL card. It's a great weekend to do some damage, man. I'm so hyped and so excited for it.
I am too. We got a ton of plays. We talk about sports that build bankrolls. We had a 3% cricket play last night.
Attaboy.
This is such a fantastic time of year. So we got to let you go. Tell everyone what you have up for clients right now.
Right now, there's the draft package came down, and I gave you the last draft play. Again, we do so good on these drafts. Even at 26.5, I probably sprinkle a little something. I have my UFC packages up there. There's a 5%. There's, I think, at least 2-3% and a 4% in there as well. I'll be firing over the next 2 days. I will be at UFC Expo tomorrow. I get to talk to the trainers, get to talk to the fighters, get to talk to management. Like, I get so much information during International Fight Week. If you look over historically, we've done very well on that card. Come Saturday, there'll be a lot more in there. There's a 4% in PFL also that I love. And, of course, Major League Baseball will be up within the next 30 minutes. So, busy weekend. Jump on board. Head on over to Greek_Gambler on Twitter. I'll have the links up as well. And, of course, free bets, always on my page at WagerTalk.
Thanks, Gianni. Let's get ready for a huge weekend. It really starts tomorrow. So we're going to go all around the world. But first, Bill has just a fantastic comment. So Bill says, great show as always. Andy, you're doing great work. Usually watch the replay live. Thank you for watching us live on a 27-6 run in MLB since Sunday, cashing on OKC in the under as well as Keegan Bradley win. So this is why this is a perfectly constructed comment. He brags about his plays, but he starts off with a compliment to soften me up, and he knows how vain I am. This is so well played, Bill. That is how you do it. You compliment the host, you brag about your plays, and you get your comment shown. Awesome job, Bill, and thank you for joining us live. Always happy to have you. All right, Dan, let's go all around the world. Let's give out some free plays here. We're going to start with the Cubs over 4.5 on their team total. Listen, this is a free play. I think I'm moving it to a client play. Plante's pitching for Cardinals. He gave up no runs in his last start, but he's given up 3 or more runs in 8 starts this season. The last time he had a great outing, he got shelled in the next game. The Cubs scored over this total in 4 out of the last 5 games. The Cubs are averaging 5.8 runs per game on the road. It's hot. There's not going to be a lot of movement on the ball, and there's a few players for the Cubs that have had really big success. So I'm moving this to a client play. It's a free play, but it's going to be moved to a client play. We're going to the WNBA. This is from Ronald Kabang. Mystics at Aces. He likes the Aces -8. Aces playing great defense. Held last 5 opponents under their team total. Mystics long cross-country trip. They're starting to slide a little bit, only averaging 77 points the last 5 games. And then Brian Power gives us Man City at Juventus. Both teams to score. Juventus 9 goals in the first 2 matches, and Man City 8 goals in their first 2 matches. So expect these teams to come out firing, because I believe they do want to win this game based on the points and the seeding that takes place. So those are the free plays for today. If you want more free plays, there's a bunch of them up at the Wager Talk free picks page. Special promo that we have up now, 7 days of all access or flex picks from your favorite Wager Talk handicappers. Instant discount down to $69. It's less than $10 a day. It gets all sports, MLB, UFC, WNBA, soccer, golf, anything, even our cricket plays that we cashed in. The best part about this is you could use it just on one handicapper, or you can switch it up any day. So if you want to use a handicapper for 3 days and then try out a few more, if you want a different handicapper every day, this is the best part about doing these flex picks. So if you haven't tried it, highly encourage you to try it. That's why we run some of these specials, so you guys can try something new at a discounted price. And if it works, then we can look at something a little bit more long-term. So 1 week, less than $10 a day, full access, serious betting firepower with your favorite Wager Talk handicapper. All right, let's bring in Steve Merril. We're going to talk Braves and the Mets. Steve, how are you? We got Holmes for Braves. We got Canning for the Mets today. How's everything been going, and what's your take on this Braves-Mets game?
Yeah, going well, Andy. I've talked about how baseball is a great time to play baseball right after the NBA finishes. It's quiet time. No NBA, right? No football for a few months. Basketball's done, and the best baseball streak I ever had was about a decade ago. I have to look up what year. It was either like 16 or 2017. But the day after the NBA Finals ended, I won 19 straight baseball games. Well, it's not going to happen this year because I'm only 3-1 so far since the NBA Finals ended. So, but seriously, it's a great time. We did it last summer too, at a 58-27 baseball run last summer. And 3-1 so far here since the NBA Finals ended. So we'll see if we'll keep it going. But it really is quiet time. Don't take the summer off. Build the bankroll. You talked about the other sports like cricket, golf, motorsports, MMA. Great time to build that bankroll and then be ready to take football on full throttle. Do have one game tonight, 8 daytime games, and there's only one nighttime game tonight on Thursday. It is your national TV standalone game on MLB Network, so it'll be a high-profile game, and it's a good matchup. Braves and Mets. Mets just a few weeks ago had the best record in all of baseball, and they decided to lose 10 out of 11 games. They got back on track with a win yesterday, but still just 2-10 their last 12. So we're going to stay away from the side in this one. I'm going to look at the total instead. I like over 8.5 runs here between the Braves and Mets. Atlanta's offense has been a little choppy this season, but they still have some firepower, and I think they'll have plenty of success against the Mets starter tonight as Griffin Canning, not a good pitcher, and my projections have him to have a poor outing here. And Atlanta's current lineup that'll be facing him tonight has gone 15 for 46, a 326 career batting average against Canning. So I think the Braves will have success here. And while the Mets are struggling overall with wins, they still have 4 hitters with 15 home runs or more this year. They're always one swing away from multiple runs. And I think they'll also fare well here. My pitcher projection ratings do not have Holmes having a good game either here. So both pitchers project to be pretty mediocre. Both offenses are capable. We'll look at over 8.5. This line opened briefly at 9, which is a very key number. It's now 8.5 over across the board. I like it more because of that. So Braves Mets over 8.5 runs. That's your MLB Network national TV game, the standalone only nighttime game on Thursday at 7:15 Eastern.
Oh, all right, Steve, this is the featured game. I don't even think you know we're doing this. All right,
I have no clue what's going on. Do I need to take cover? My sprinklers are coming on.
No.
I got a huge mug of water I can pour. Okay. All right,
no, you need to give us a prediction. Here's the contest. Put in the comment section after the show who wins this game and what's the correct score. We're doing this in the comment section, Steve. The winner, if someone wins, they get free Wager Talk swag. And if anybody gets to 3 winners, they get to come on this show and do a segment. They get to come on and do a game breakdown. All right, so Steve, what's your prediction? Give us the winner and the correct score for Braves and Mets.
I got to calm down here. As you can see, the heart's beating. I mean, first of all, I thought I'd left one of those tags on my clothes again when I walked out the department store. That brought back some bad memories, or from Sam Goody when the CD didn't scan right. Anyway, all right, well, so, I like the over here, but I do think it's interesting. We saw a little bit of sharp money coming on the Mets. The Braves opened as a road favorite. The Mets are now a small favorite. I know they're just 2-10 their last 12, but it's funny, Andy, I was doing research on this late last night. If you go back over the last 50 years, teams on a 3-game win streak or lose streak, no predictive power going forward. It's basically random variance. Now, 2-10 may be a little bit different, but the point is the Mets probably overachieved, and now they've probably underachieved, right? So I do think there'll be the buy side with them sooner than later. So I'll take the Mets, and I like the over here. So we're going to go at least 9 runs or more. I'll say the Mets win by 1. Do I dare say 5-4? That's too obvious. I'll say 6-5 because I like the over. We're going to look for some runs. Mets, 6. Atlanta Braves, 5. And if I get 2 more right, I get to come on the show next week.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Maybe we might finally send you a shirt.
Oh, I do need some swag. Hey, I'll tell you what, man.
Right.
It's like the free William & Mary basketball T-shirts that I wear every day to the gym and around town. I've advertised that program more, including here on the show, just like Wager Talk as well. And the viewers do love the swag, by the way, so I know that'll be a popular prize. I've got a lot of positive hoodie comments during the winter with the videos.
Okay, you mentioned gym. We got enough time. I have to ask you something. I saw this the other day. There's this guy that goes to my gym, and he does everything barefoot.
Ooh, that shouldn't be allowed.
Is that a power move, or is that absolutely disgusting?
So that's interesting because I was there about a week ago, and I saw it was like a high school age girl, maybe somebody back from college that came in and they forgot their shoes, and she had like the furry slipper type thing on. And the guy working there actually said she couldn't work out, but there was a pair of shoes she could borrow. He wasn't the owner. The owner might have been okay with it. He's a little more strict, this guy. But yeah, I just saw that happen about a week ago, and I was thinking, I guess it's kind of a safety issue, right? And then I saw a kid yesterday wearing Crocs. And my son wears Crocs every day, plays basketball in Crocs. So I'm okay with it now. As long as you put it in sports mode, Andy, that's when you flip the back up is sports mode. That's what the kids call it. But yeah, barefoot's really probably an insurance liability for the gym, to be honest. I'm surprised they allow that.
I bet they don't. I bet he doesn't know that's going on, because dude's doing massive squats and holding the 45-pounder. Like, yeah, you drop that on your foot, night.
Although
night
seriously though, like, how much does a sneaker probably protect you from a 45-pound plate?
Enough to prevent it from being cut off.
That's a good point. I'm all about not having toes cut off. I want all 10 digits.
Yeah, ain't going Ronnie Lott up in here. There's the throwback for you. Ronnie Lott cut off part of his toe so he could get back in the game. That's a true story. And that's why I own a Ronnie Lott jersey, Steve.
Yeah, Ronnie Lott was hardcore. Number 42.
Tell everyone what you have up for clients up at WagerTalk.com.
Hey, look, like, we're joking about it being it's summertime, right? But it takes 5 minutes a day to really get the plays. I average 1 to 3 best bets per day. We are 3-1 already since the NBA Finals ended. Last summer, we had a 58-27 run about a decade ago. I won 19 straight right after the NBA Finals. And I love baseball this time of year. We have several months of numbers to work with. And as I talked about earlier, we do kind of look for fading maybe some overrated teams after a few months, getting on board some underrated teams. Next several months are going to be very profitable in baseball. Keep in mind, last year, my all sports clients had already doubled their bankroll by the end of August. So if you'd like to get on board, check out my page. I have daily free plays, best bet specials, including the 7 days for just $69, dude. Right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker, wt.buzz/SM.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Good luck on all your plays.
Thanks,
and
Andy.
let's get a winner. Yeah, Wash, you're right. Ronnie Lott cut off his finger, not his toe. I got a little excited there. It was his pinky that he cut off. Still hardcore. So, all right, let's bring in Kyle Anthony. We got to talk the main and the co-main at UFC 317, and then we're going to play Sell Me. Kyle, barefoot in the gym. Could you, Matt? No.
I mean, that's a little crazy. I mean, that's like a little, so he's walking in like the bathroom barefoot. He's going, like to the locker. That is credit to him. That's like a jungle man. I respect it. Not my style though. Not my style at the gym.
Yeah, me either. I'll give you guys that are barefoot when they're working out. That's Topuria and Charles Oliveira in the main event here. I love this card. I think this is going to be an amazing card, and they cap it off with a couple really good fights here. Let's break down Topuria and Oliveira. Obviously, Topuria is the new big thing, and it feels like they're moving. It feels like they're like literally moving championships, and they're moving guys around. Like, you don't see this hardly ever. Normally, Dana's like, no, you do it my way. But he's a big favorite here. How do you see Topuria versus Charles Oliveira going?
Yeah, and to your point, you have, the big favor here in Topuria. He is minus 500 roughly, and comeback here on Charles is sitting around plus 380. And to what you're saying, Andy, yeah, you have Makhachev. He moved up in weight, relinquishes his belt. You've got Topuria dropping his belt to move up. Now we've got this lightweight title on Saturday night. Now you look at, Charles Oliveira here, and Oliveira is already a, Hall of Famer in the UFC, most submissions in the history of the sport. Just really has been. But we've seen him grow up basically in the UFC. But the one thing here I always say is that styles make fights, but so does timing of fights. And now we've got Charles Oliveira, who is sitting now at 35 years old, a 7-year age gap. And that's not a good thing already. I don't like that, especially when we're talking about some of these lower weight classes. But the one thing that I thought was the biggest red flag I really thought were Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler in their most recent fight. It was a fight I was at Madison Square Garden, and it was a fight where really you should see Charles Oliveira dominating. That should absolutely be an absolute domination. You've got, Chandler, who's more of a cross trainer at this point compared to like a UFC fighter. And yes, he got the victory, but if you look at significant strikes, it was 88-84 for Charles. Very close. The way he got that victory was primarily takedowns. He needed the takedowns. He needed control time. He had 5 takedowns, over 15 minutes of control time. And that's how he won the fight. And I think at this point, that really should have been a fight where he just puts a stamp on it, finishes Chandler, and really, really looks good. I thought you're seeing the decline of Oliveira, even though he got the victory. And that's really how I see this fight here, where the biggest liability really for Oliveira is his chin and really the style at which he fights. And what I mean by that is, first, we've seen Charles how many times Guy gets rocked, wobbled, dropped in wins, in losses. I mean, he's just, the chin is there. It gets touched. He starts to rock. He'll go to his back. He'll allow, most opponents don't want to go down with him. So it kind of allows a little bit of time for him. And I think that also he's a shoot to box guy. And I respect those guys a lot, but you look at how they fight and, they come forward. They're aggressive. They're going to throw a lot of combinations. Charles obviously is not scared to be taken down. He's got, high level, BJJ, so he can move forward with that. But the issue here for me really is the fact that if he's going to come forward, and so is Topuria, that's going to just be a lot of action here. And I think that Topuria is far more durable. I think obviously he's got the youth on his side. And really, I think that the way he strikes and his power is really absurd, just how good it is, how he works the body, kind of like Jack Della Maddalena, where he's able to mix it up, work the body, allows him to open up shots to the head. And that's how I see this really going here. And I just don't think Charles has the striking defense to really kind of, get away from some of that stuff. And plus, if he's looking to crash the pocket and throw big combinations, Topuria that's exactly what he wants. Topuria wants that kind of interaction, to have the opportunities to land those big shots. He's got the better footwork. He's the harder hitter between these two, the better boxer. Plus the fact that Topuria is a guy that, you look at what he can do, and he's really has fantastic grappling. I mean, he is elite on the ground. It's just he hasn't had to because he's knocking everybody out. And I don't see Topuria diving at legs here looking for takedowns. And I don't think Oliveira finds success with takedowns. So if this plays out on the feet, I think the knockout for Topuria is very live here. It's sitting around minus 150. I think that's how it happens. I even think it's probably within the first 2 rounds. I don't think it's going to take much. It's not like he really needs to hit this big combination on Oliveira. I think if he lands one of those big hooks, I think he goes down. So I am going to go with Topuria by knockout. Is sitting around minus 150, and I think that's how that ends.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought Oliveira, that win against Chandler, was actually not a good look. For Oliveira. I was like, oh no, it's catching up to him. So I'm with you 100% on this one. Let's move to the co-main. You got Pantoja, the guy that they are just struggling to find opponents for. He just keeps keeps running. They tried to bring in a guy from another promotion that didn't go well. But he is getting up there. This is a guy that I didn't realize this. Did you know that Pantoja and Brandon Moreno fought on The Ultimate Fighter? What a matchup that was.
I saw
Fighter.
I heard that and I was like, let me go back and look at this. Yeah, right.
It was like and it was amazing. Of course it was an amazing fight, but you didn't know that those guys were going to turn into that.
Right, yeah.
So just like, I lost to Pantoja and I got booted off of The Ultimate Fighter. So all right, let's talk Pantoja and Kai Kara France. Pantoja, the reigning champ and the favorite, but you're liking the underdog in this one.
Yeah, this one here, you got Pantoja, he's sitting around minus 275, and you've got Kai Kara France plus 210. And what you're saying there is Pantoja has been a world beater at this point, 7 straight victories. This will be his 4th title fight, and we know we're getting from this guy. He's going to come forward. He's going to crash the pocket. He's going to throw big hooks, look for the takedowns, look to get to the back, work submissions, and that's been really working out well for him. It's been a rinse and repeat throughout each fight, and he's found a lot of success here. But, at this price here, there are some red flags on the champion here. And to what you were saying right there is he's 35 years old. He's a 35-year-old flyweight. And that already is, again, these lower weight classes, obviously that's even why Islam kind of was done with it. He was kind of like, I'm done cutting this weight, struggling. Let me move up. That's kind of, I think, what Topuria is doing, moving up because of that. And you've got him now at 35 years old. This is really where we see things start to decline here. Not that we're fully seeing that from Pantoja. He's going out there getting victories, but the one issue here is his cardio. Now, I'm not saying that he has bad cardio, but he has had to really, really push through some of these moments here where he's gotten tired, he's gotten the takedowns, or he's gotten rocked. He's been able to kind of create, some kind of scramble, get on top position, and kind of ride out certain rounds. And that's really where I look at this fight here. And I think it's going to be very difficult for him to find a lot of these takedowns. Now, we know that Pantoja, he can get takedowns, but his control is a little bit sloppy at times, and especially as the fight goes on. And you've got Kai Kara France, who really has top-level defensive wrestling, good takedown defense, and even he has an 88% takedown defense rate, and I think that's going to hold up. Sure, there's going to be opportunities where Pantoja is going to have the control time. He's going to get him down. It's a 5-round fight, but we've also seen how well he's been able to create scrambles to get back to his feet. And I think Kai Kara-France is going to force these scrambles a lot, get back to his feet. And we've even seen, some pretty solid wrestlers struggle getting Kai Kara-France down. Even in wins or losses, he's still, they've struggled against it. You've got Askar Askarov, who was 2 for 14 on takedowns. Amir Albazi was 1 for 9. Even Brandon Moreno was 0 for 3. So even in those situations, these guys struggled getting him down. I think if this plays out on the feet and the farther that this fight goes, I think Kai Kara-France finds success, probably landing the more impactful, damaging shots as well. I think he's the harder hitter between the two, better combinations, more accurate. And we've seen Pantoja at times kind of winging shots, and he's doing that more to crash the pocket to get a hold of you. And I think that Kai Kara-France can create that space and really make this ultra competitive here. So I think this line is pretty wide here when you're looking at Pantoja, our 35-year-old nearing 3-1 favorite spot. I do like the dog here. I think that Kai Kara-France gets it done. So I'm going Anu at plus 210.
Wow, love it. Bold call, Kai Kara-France to pull the upset over Pantoja. Yeah, I got Pantoja in my sights here. I love when these fighters fall off a cliff. I could have retired off of fading Izzy once it was obvious that guy was. I mean, listen, when these guys that are champions start to fall off, they don't come back, and it's just the wear and tear of their career has caught.
It's like the height, and then it's like
it's a roller coaster, man.
You've seen it where guys who try to get to the title fight and then they get to the title fight, they lose. It almost is like such a letdown that even like they always say, the hangover from the loss, they come back and it's almost like, wow, I got to win like 2 or 3 more to get back to that could be a year and a half, so there is a lot of momentum lost there.
All right, let's play Sell Me. If you're new, first off, thanks for joining us. This is where Dan comes on. He picks a fight from the card. Me and Kyle don't know what the fight is, and then Dan assigns us a fighter, and impromptu we have to try and sell Dan on why our fighter will win. So Dan, what is the fight, and who are you assigning, myself and Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I look forward to this every week because I get to see you guys be true used car salesmen. And typically it's trying to sell us on either huge dogs or huge favorites. So I looked down the card and I found one that's more true. I think this is the first time that we've done like a true pick 'em. So we're looking at Renato Moicano versus Beneil Dariush. And I actually think I did pretty well on the pronunciations there, but we'll see when the experts
it was good.
are talking there. But this is essentially 115 for Moicano. You search around for Dariush, you're looking at minus 105. So Kyle, you're looking towards the dog in the fight, our minus 105 fighter in Beneil. And Andy, you're going to tell us why Moicano should maybe be a little bit bigger of a favorite. But pick 'em form, hitting 2 of my favorite guys against each other. Kyle, what are we thinking?
So this one here, Moicano opened up at about like a minus 170 favorite in this spot. And now we're at a pick 'em price tag. And I do agree with that line movement here. I think that it opened up kind of wide because you did have Moicano, who went out there, fought against Islam, got absolutely destroyed. But the one thing that I see about him is that there is a lot of outside noise coming from Moicano. Meaning he just had a kid, just opened up a gym. He's on social media like it is his job at this point. And he's talked about the money he's made. It almost sounds like he's kind of 1 foot out the door a little bit at this point, especially after that Islam check that he just got. But I do think that Beneil is the better striker. I think he's the harder hitter between the two. I love the body kicks that he throws out there. Both these guys definitely a little chinny, but I'm not that big on Moicano overall. He does not have the knockout power, I think, to really hurt Beneil. His only knockout came against Benoit Saint-Denis recently, which was a ground and pound. So I think that the chin will be okay because that's, I think, the biggest liability on the Dariush side. But I am going to have to say he gets the job done here. I think the grappling, I think the top control, I think he will survive that. So I do like Beneil to get this job done here and get his hand raised on Saturday.
Okay, Beneil Dariush is the car that needs to be traded in and sent to the junk heap. There is word coming out that this is his retirement fight. Dan, he has gotten nuked in his last 2 fights inside the first round. I mean, you're not talking fender benders. You're talking head-on collisions here. This fight was supposed to take place in January. It fell out because Moicano went to fight Makhachev. And then Moicano comes out and says, my shoulder's hurt. You're not going to see me for a while. And all of a sudden they book it 6 months later. I think this is Dariush's retirement fight. And you know how it goes. When somebody's cardio is gone, when their chin is gone, and when their passion to win fights is gone, it's an automatic fade. So give me Moicano, even on a flat tire with his bad shoulder, to retire the car that needs to be traded in.
It was good stuff. That was good.
I have to say he did lead.
He had the car facts.
He
had the car facts.
I mean, I loved the breakdown by Kyle. Don't get me wrong, but the car analogies start to get me. And contrarian by nature, guys, I want to go against the line move. So if I had to pick, I would be looking towards Moicano. Hop below in the comments. Let us know. They sold us. I mean, both incredible breakdowns. That's why we do Sell Me here. Kyle and Andy, two of the best UFC bettors you can find on the planet. But you got to comment below and let us know who won. I'm leaning towards that Moicano side. But as always, terrific job, gentlemen.
Awesome stuff. Let's get serious for just a second. Kyle, tell everyone what you have up for clients for UFC 317.
Yeah, so this weekend I have a 5% play. It has been a rocky couple months here, but the one thing that has really been rock solid has been my 5% plays and has been my pay-per-view packages. They have absolutely killed it throughout the year. And in this spot here, over the last 14 months, 5% plays hitting a little under 70%. This particular angle hitting at 83%. I really love this spot here. I think, I'm going to see more and more of these types of bets I'm going to be doing. Love the spot. Have 3 plays in there right now. Again, probably going to be adding to that, probably around 5 or 6 plays by the time fight starts. So check it out, WagerTalk.com.
Great stuff. Great breakdowns from Kyle Anthony. Make sure to take advantage of those plays over at WagerTalk.com. We're going to bring on Nick Parsons, talk a little CFL, and then we're going to break down the Carolina Panthers before we get out of here. Nick, let's bring you on in. You're going to tell us about the Sports Memo specials, but you have a play in the CFL that is just it's hold your nose, just a filthy, disgusting play, and it's right up Dan's alley. If you're a contrarian,
right, exactly, big time.
So walk us through this play and talk to us about the Edmonton Elks.
Yeah, well, it's week 3 in the CFL, Andy, and I actually had the Elks last week. I gave out the Elks on this show last week, but I'm not giving up on them here. That came up just short against Montreal, but Edmonton, it does continue to make significant progression, and you can see that from week 1 to week 2. And so I think that the odds makers are a little slow here in recognizing that. Now, Winnipeg, it is 2-0 straight up and against the spread to open the season, but both games came against the BC Lions, so there is a little bit of uncertainty there about this team. And then they have a game at 2-1 Calgary next week, and so I think the home side, it will struggle to cover this larger spread at home. The Elks, they're 0-2 straight up and against the spread. But yeah, I saw 10 and then 10.5, and now I'm seeing 11s, and so it could continue to go up here even. But yeah, last year, the Blue Bombers, Andy, they went 0-4 to start the season to start with, before then going 11-3 the rest of the way, and they won the West Division. Winnipeg, though, it has not started 3-0 since 2022. Edmonton, it started 0-7 last year, and it started 0-9 to open 2023, and so it's hoping to avoid that streak. But despite being 0-2, as I say, it's made some small steps, and so I think that it's going to be very competitive this week, as it sort of holds up a measuring stick here to Winnipeg. Last week, the Elks, they did lose 38-28 to Montreal, and Montreal is favored to come out of the East, and now Winnipeg is favored to come out of the West, and so Edmonton is playing 2 really tough teams here back to back. But the Elks, they did have a 22-point fourth quarter in last week's loss. I think they can keep that momentum from that fourth quarter going here. Trey Ford, the quarterback, he had his best game of his career. He was 27 of 36 for 306 yards and a touchdown. He also rushed for 41 yards and another touchdown. So Bombers quarterback Zach Collaros, he wasn't at his best in last week's win. He only had 178 yards passing. He did have 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions. And so the bottom line here essentially is being a situational capper. As I said, I think the books are a little slow in recognizing the Elks' positive progression here. And as Dan was talking about being a contrarian, I mean, with over 80% of the public money on the home side here. This one also definitely greatly appeals to my contrarian nature. So I'm not calling for an outright upset or anything, but I do think the stage is set for a very competitive battle. And so I'm going to suggest a play on the Elks tonight.
Love it. Yeah, and if the line's moving, guys, you can wait. Just wait, see if you get an extra half point. It's probably not moving back the other way with Edmonton. So, and listen, if you're on the side that the books want to be on, you're going to do well long term, Nick, for sure. We have several specials going on at Sports Memo, so tell us all about those and tell us some of the work that you're doing over there.
Right. So yeah, at Sports Memo, lots going on. Super competitive guys over there. There's a lot of different handicappers on some really excellent runs. You can check out the leaderboards. They're dynamic. They change every day, just like over at WagerTalk. And just like over at WagerTalk, the main special that they have going on right now, and Andy did talk about it at the top of the show, is the Flex Picks options. And so they have that going on for $69 right now. As Andy said, it gives you sort of the ultimate flexibility in trying a variety of different handicappers. You can change your schedule up. You don't need to play all 30 days in a row. You can take a break. It's super flexible, and it's a super popular option. And so that is the first option going on over there. But they also have $5 Wednesdays. And so Wednesday was really successful yesterday. Every capper over at Sports Memo will be releasing one $5 pick, and that includes 5% top plays as well. That has been very popular. A good opportunity to get a variety of different picks from a variety of different handicappers. And then finally, the third one you mentioned, it's 50% off Fridays. So that's tomorrow, guys. Head on over to Sports Memo to take advantage of 50% off Fridays. Same thing as the $5 Wednesdays. Every capper will release one 50% off pick. And yeah, if you can, there's no code needed or anything. You can get as many as you like.
Love it, Nick. Thank you so much. We do this every Thursday, and you know I love a good CFL breakdown. It's these sports. I mean, what are you 5-3 in CFL? Just putting together a winning record, scraping those units. It's so valuable to bankroll. So congratulations on that, and thank you for doing this every Thursday. Nick Parsons, everybody, from sportsmemo.com. We will see you again next Thursday. All right, let's bring in Dan, and we're going to break down the Carolina Panthers season win total is 6.5. Let us know in the comments section. Do you like the over or the under for the Carolina Panthers? Very curious team here. Dan, I want to start with this. After their bye week last year in week 11, 3-point loss to Chiefs, OT loss to Bucks, 6-point loss at your Eagles, 16-point
and that was
loss
a drop pass. Like, that was a drop pass away from winning that game outright, if you remember that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what bad teams do. 16-point loss to Cowboys, win against Cardinals, blown out against the Bucks, win against Falcons. They turned a page, and Young was terrible to start the year. Dalton takes over, and I don't know if anyone remembers this. The reason Dalton couldn't play anymore was he got in a car accident.
Yeah.
And so they had to bring Bryce Young in, and you think, oh, this is a disaster. Instead, he was pretty good. So the over-under 6.5. They were 5-12 last year. PFF ranked them 22nd on offense, 32nd on defense last year. I love this stat. They've had 6 coaches since 2019. The Steelers have had 3 since 1969. Not a huge stability, Dan. Stability. Off-season moves, nothing too big. Wharton, defensive tackle. They re-signed Jackson. They got J.C. Horn, so that secondary looks very good. Added a couple of linebackers, defensive tackles. Rico Dowdle is there. What's your take on the Panthers here? I want to get your take, and then I want to go over the schedule, because to me, the schedule tells us a story.
Well, Andy, you kind of pointed out 32nd in defense, and not just PFF. You can look all around. Most metrics said it was pretty bad. They allowed the most percentage of scoring drives against their defense. So quite literally, the Carolina Panthers defense cannot be any worse than it was last year. It just can't. And they still were able to find 5 wins in a season that they have to ship off their high, draft pick, send them to the bench. And then, Andy Dalton comes in, like you said, the car accident happens. And I'm so glad that you pointed out the instability that the Carolina Panthers have had, because year 2 of the Canales regime, this is the first time that we've seen any continuity for this team. You keep the same offensive coordinator, same defensive coordinator. Maybe that's a positive or a negative, that remains to be seen, but you also kept the same general manager, something that just hasn't happened for this team from top to bottom. And you know, you talk about how they looked after the bye. It looked like a team who finally started buying into what Canales was selling. And I think he's a pretty good head coach who can maximize the best of what they get off the roster. Sure, their offseason wasn't anything crazy, but their draft was pretty damn good. I look at this Panthers team, I look at the division that they play in, and I look at the fact that heading into the season, their strength of schedule sits in top 10 of the easiest. 6.5 wins is one of those numbers that I say, this team could be a 7-8 win team. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. I don't think they were as bad as people thought they were coming into last year. I think that was evidenced by some of these tough games that they gave to the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl. Sure, bad teams end up losing those games, but in year 2, maybe some of those coin flips start going the other way. And, you know, maybe not having the Chiefs and the refs against them to lose that game by a field goal helps them this year. I like the over 6.5 wins for the Carolina Panthers. I actually think this is going to be a sneaky team against the spread to be betting on here early in the season, because I don't think they're as bad as your father's Carolina Panthers. Do I think they're a Super Bowl contender? Hell no. Do I think they can get 7 wins? Hell yes, Andy. Give me the over on the Carolina Panthers.
I so wanted to get to the over, and I'm just staring at the schedule, and here's why I just can't get there. So they start off with at Jags, at Cardinals. Those teams are going to be healthy, and they'll be motivated. Then Falcons, Patriots, Dolphins, Cowboys, at Jets. That's a lot of toss-up games. Probably games they're not going to be favored in. But here's my concern with them. Here's how they end the season. Their last 10 games: Bills, Packers, Saints, that should be a gimme. Falcons, at 49ers, Rams, at Saints, that should be a win. Bucks, Seahawks, at Bucks. I think that NFC West is going to be jam-packed, and I think 8 of those 10 teams that they play to finish the year are going to be in the playoff hunt. I think they're going to be fighting for playoffs. To close out your last 3 games, Bucks, Seahawks, at Bucks, we know the Bucks are going to be probably fighting for the seeding because they're probably going to be ahead in the division. The Seahawks could be in the mix. I just think these last 10 games are full of landmines with teams that are going to squeak out wins. You know you got 2 wins in the Saints, or at least you should. If you lose one to the Saints, then I think this bet is dead. But they're going to start with 2 wins. I just can't get there. It's an ever so slight lean to the under on the Carolina Panthers.
Finally, we're back to disagreeing. That's
absolutely
that's how it should be. I mean, I completely agree. That back half of the schedule, brutal. I just look at that front half of the schedule, and you could be sitting at 6 wins, and then you just need an upset in that back 9. So hey, finally we're back to fisticuffs, and Andy has worked up a graphic that we will show you each and every one of our leans as we go on. But this one an actual play for me. Give me the over on the Carolina Panthers. So I like it, Andy. I like going head to head.
Absolutely. We're going head-to-head a lot this week. So, all right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Happy Thursday. Don't forget to take advantage of that deal. 7 days for $69. You can pick one handicapper. You can do a different handicapper every day. Take advantage of those flex picks, less than $10 a day. It's going to be a big weekend for us. We have a 5% PFL play that is up for Friday. Our UFC pack is up. We just put up that Cubs team total, and Dan has graced us with 3 more lacrosse plays, looking for another sweep, another big weekend in lacrosse. So don't forget to hit the like button and leave in the comment section who wins between the Mets and the Braves. What's the correct score? You get it right, you win some free swag. You get 3 of them right, you get to come on the show and do a segment. So thanks very much, guys. Good luck on all your plays. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Take care.